And whether it's a conscious or an unconscious bias, it is rigged. And it's rigged in favour of one team. 20 years ago, John Reid went into Celtic, a political operator that was more skilled in the infighting of politics than anybody else who worked in Scottish football. And he came in and through backroom and skullduggery, the stuff he was used to in his career, he propelled Celtic up. And at the time, Rangers were a disaster. 2012 happens, and we'll never know the full story, but I think it's fairly clear that there was some influence applied there as well, and some coherent campaigning going on in the background about that. And when Rangers went down, what happened is Rangers were vastly diminished as an institution. And then, of course, the Spibs, etc., made it very hard for us to get back to that position, and we haven't managed it as of yet. And a lot of people took a lot of schadenfreude and a lot of delight in our position because we'd been the big dogs for the last 30 years, and a lot of people enjoyed watching us there. And into that vacuum went Celtic. And instead of having to compete with us for power anymore, it was all there to be grabbed, and they grabbed it. And they shored it up over the years by putting in policemen at various levels of the game and by exerting their influence through the media to make sure that they get what they want. And what you are now left with is a cowed and pliant refereeing group who absolutely know that if they give a decision against Celtic, they have to prepare for their life being made absolute hell for the next few weeks and maybe longer. John Beaton is one of those people. He had to get police involved before, after threats from Celtic supporters, received no public backing from the SFA, who should have came down on Celtic like a ton of bricks for encouraging it, but of course they didn't. And this is now where we are with it, where it is now just so obvious that at best you've got referees who are absolutely terrified to give a decision against Celtic and therefore will not, as evidenced by Beaton running over to the screen for a highly contentious decision, taking, I think it was 14 seconds to make the decision. He's made his mind up before he gets to that screen, because as he's running there, he knows what will happen if he doesn't give that. He knows. And therefore he's not in a position, he feels, to be able to go against it. Then you've got people who are just going to give Celtic a decision anyway because that's their inclination. What you also have in Scottish football are people that owe high-paying jobs to the fact that they were put in there by Celtic, with Celtic's approval, to work on behalf of Celtic. Neil Doncaster, 400 grand a year. Ian Maxwell, whatever he's on. Those guys have got hundreds of thousands of reasons to do their master's bidding, and every single one of them has the king's face on them. And that's the situation that we're in at the moment. Mike Mulroney, Celtic supporter, SFA president. Everything is geared up to maintain the status quo of Celtic being the top club in the country. And as I say, Rangers have not been in a position to fight that because we didn't have that sort of influence. And secondly, when we did bring it up, and we did bring it up. Rangers as a club have brought it up numerous occasions. We as supporters have brought it up constantly. We got told, oh, no, it's both of you. You're just moaning because you're no good enough. Well, now that it's not affecting us, we were finishing third regardless of what happened in those games last night. It's affecting another team, somebody that they don't hate as much. Everyone is seeing it because it is clear. It is clear. As Michael Stewart pointed out, on Michael Bloody Stewart, by the way, who has been part of this problem, but anyway, God loves a sinner who turns, but he said, there's been 7 VAR decisions in the last week, all of which have gone against Hearts and for Celtic, and people are wondering what's going on. When you eliminate all the other things, and you're left with what's staring you in the face, you have to accept that that's the truth. Every big decision will go for Celtic because referees will simply not, they are compromised and they will simply not go against that. And the people up above them who owe their positions in the game to Celtic are not going to intervene. Now it's time for Hearts, Tony Bloom, an outsider into the game, Now it's time for Rangers, Andrew Kavanagh, an outsider who's come into the game, to get together with the other clubs who are getting screwed constantly. And it's not just us. I mentioned game-changing decisions that have gone in Celtic's way this season. Penalty at Kilmarnock, red cards that should have been given against Motherwell, should have been given against Dundee United, should have been given against Hibs, that are affecting their seasons too. If Motherwell against Celtic, they go down to 10 men, Motherwell win the game, then Motherwell are already qualified for Europe. Don't need to worry about the Hibs game at the weekend. And then, of course, last night, Dundee United made the top half rather than the bottom, so it's cost them money. Clubs have got to now be bigger and braver, and the first thing everybody has to do is demand the sacking of Willie Collum, because Collum has proved to be either unable or unwilling to make any changes. He allows this. He sees his job as clearing up the mess his referees have made, rather than stopping the referees making that mess in the first place. That's how he views his job. He's part of it. He's part of this stinking, rotten, corrupt system that we have, this compromised, awful system that we have. And it is now time for Rangers, Hearts to lead it, but the other clubs as well, to step this up. Last night, I am hoping, is when they pushed it too far. Is when it became too obvious, so obvious to everyone outside Scottish football that this game is rigged. And that is my hope, that the one positive we can take out of this is that that's what's happened. Celtic are going to win the league at the weekend. The Hearts will not be allowed to win the league. So any of you that are clinging on to that, forget it. It's not going to happen. They proved last night, Celtic need something late on, they'll get it. They've proved it at Kilmarnock early in the season. They've proved it repeatedly. The goal that should have been disallowed a few weeks ago, Iheanacho, late winner, given. So there's no chance. And it affects how you play. Because Hearts will know, if they're one each in the last minute, or in the 95th minute, and a ball comes into the box, defender can't go and challenge for it normally. Because the defender is going into that challenge going, I need to stay away from him, because if I touch him, they'll give a penalty. So it's affecting how the game is played. Because everybody knows. And unless Rangers and Hearts and the other clubs take the lead, then it will continue to. The only